This is Retirement Keys with Anthony Kangemi from Crescent City Retirement Group. When a part of your financial strategy is out of tune, your long-term goals, your retirement savings, and your legacy can all suffer. With many years of experience in the financial industry, Anthony provides his clients and prospects with the information they need regarding Social Security, retirement income planning, wealth management, and much more. Listen in as we address your financial concerns and provide helpful solutions to put you on the path to achieving your retirement goals. And now, here is Retirement Keys with your host, Anthony Kangemi.
Hello, and welcome to another show of Retirement Keys with me, Anthony Kangemi from Crescent City Retirement Group, and our fabulous co-host, Mr. Tony Shore. Tony, thank you so much for being with us here this morning.
Oh, Anthony, anytime. I love doing the show with you each week, and I love getting together with you. We always have a good time, and I always learn something. We have good talks before and after the show and during with our listeners. So I think this is great, and I'm having a great week. How about you? How was your week?
Week was good, Tony. You know, we're getting ready to start school. My oldest is going to Lafayette. He'll be at UL, and got the others starting in different schools here locally. And so we're getting busy with that. And then, of course, we're on our series of retirement workshops. We do workshops, as you know, 2 a month at different restaurants in Metairie and Austin's restaurant in Metairie, and then, of course, on the West Bank, and then across the lake, and then down in Houma, Lafourche, Terrebonne area. So we're always doing these retirement workshops. For our listeners that want to come to one of the workshops, please call the office. It's complimentary. You get it's a nice dinner, and we talk for about an hour on retirement planning. A great workshop, and we really focus on Social Security maximization, of course, and then the new tax reform, how that can affect your retirement. So really good issues, Medicare issues as well. So really good issues as it relates to retirement planning. So I would encourage you, call the office, 504-828-2171, and say, I want to come to the next retirement workshop. And Katie or one of the girls in the office will get you scheduled in. But, yeah, Tony, we just been working with that and just with our clients. You know, of course, we're passionate about retirement planning. So it's just really a joy to work with our clients every day.
Yeah.
To help better their retirement.
Well, and I know you love it. You love people, Anthony. You love talking with people, and you've seen a lot over the years and helped so many people really plan their assets, investments, and plan for retirement and retirement income, save for retirement. And I know today you've got a great topic for us, right?
We do, Tony. We have a really good topic. We're going to be talking about IRAs and what you can do with your IRA in retirement. I think it's going to be a really good topic. It's interesting facts that, the official IRS gives them these IRAs as actually, individual retirement accounts or individual retirement agreements. But most people call them accounts, so individual retirement accounts. But these IRAs, and there's different types of IRAs, and how you can use these IRAs to plan in retirement. I think really going to be good topic today.
Yeah, that sounds great. I'm excited to talk about this one because I think a lot of people out there have an IRA, and understanding their purpose and how to manage them, I think that's something I know I can benefit from. My wife and I, we each have our own IRAs, and we can all benefit from that, right?
Absolutely, and it's because retirement has changed, and so has the way we need to plan for it. Now, you need a plan that, Tony, needs to go 30, 40 years in retirement, and making mistakes or taking losses in retirement can really be damaging. There's a lot of information people still need to know in order to make the best decisions for their retirement goals, especially as it relates to their IRAs. When you plan a retirement, Tony, 30 years, people retire at 65, and, we're going out 35 years because, of course, we run all our plans to age 100. So when you're running numbers that far out, you really have to be very strategic, very accurate. A big loss here or there throughout the years can really affect that. So you want to have a good plan in place, a good distribution strategy. And as I say, we run out to age 100. So we want to make sure that the numbers are going to work throughout the life of our clients.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. And I think that's really good. Now, let's start with the basics, though, to make sure we're all on the same page. So explain to us what an IRA actually is.
Well, an IRA is an account set up at a financial institution that allows an individual to save for retirement with tax-free growth or on a tax-deferred basis. There are many types of IRAs, but the two most common are going to be traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. There's a distinct difference between the two. With a traditional IRA, you get a tax deduction for the savings you contribute to the account. This deduction reduces your taxable income, so you're basically not paying tax on the income you set aside in your traditional IRA. The savings grows tax deferred. Once you decide to take a distribution, however, that money will be subjected to taxes. Roth IRAs, on the other hand, provide previously taxed savings and distributions. This can be beneficial if you anticipate that your tax rates will be higher in the future. So on the traditional IRA, you get the tax break up front, but it's taxable when you withdraw. On the Roth IRA, you get no tax break up front, but it grows, and when it comes out all tax-free.
Wow. That's interesting. So how do you know which one of those IRAs is going to work the best for your particular situation?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's two factors you want to consider when choosing the IRA type that's right for you. The first is to understand your contribution limits. In 2016, the max you could contribute to your IRA was $5,500, and after you were 50 years old and older, you could contribute an additional $1,000. They call that a catch-up, so it would have been up to $6,500. Secondly, and possibly the most important, is making sure you take taxes into account. As mentioned previously, a traditional IRA uses pre-tax dollars, whereas a Roth IRA contributions are already taxed. That means once you reach 59 and a half and are able to access your IRA funds penalty-free, you can either have tax-deferred money or you can have pre-taxed money. Either way, you can have it. Now, in a lot of cases, it's nice to have the traditional IRA and the Roth IRA, Roth money and traditional money, especially when getting into retirement, because a lot of times you can bleed in that tax-free money from the Roth and really help manage the distribution and tax strategy in retirement. So you can really have both. You just, you would just put so much in one. You just can't go over the limits. And you can have a Roth and a traditional. You just can't exceed that annual limit in the contribution, but you can certainly split that up amongst those two accounts as well. So it really just needs to be looked at, and the plans need to be in place so we can see what's best for the plan that we're working on.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's key right there. And you mentioned, 59 and a half. I always love these half years, the IRS. And gives us when it comes to rules, but that's one rule regarding an IRA and some of these tax-deferred retirement accounts. But can you still access your money at any time?
Yes, you can technically take your money out of your IRA whenever you want. However, if you're under the age of 59 and a half, there could be penalties. The purpose is to discourage you from tapping into your IRA before retirement. Different types of IRAs come with different types of different tax penalties. With a traditional IRA, if you withdraw money before reaching age 59 and a half, you will be hit with a 10% penalty on the amount you withdraw. In addition, the distribution is included in your taxable income as ordinary income. On a Roth IRA, have a bit more. They have a bit more flexibility there. You can access, or you can escape rather, the 10% tax penalty in a Roth IRA if you're withdrawing the money for a few specific purposes. With a little strategy and the help of a financial services professional, there are some ways to prevent Uncle Sam from taking your hard-earned money on that tax, or on that penalty rather, on the Roth. So it's really looking at it, Tony, and making sure that we take those distributions the right way to avoid any penalties if possible when it comes to taking withdrawals prior to 59 and a half.
Yeah, and so that explains that. There are a lot of rules that we need to understand, and it's helpful information. Now, we do have to take a quick break here, but before we do, Anthony, let our listeners know how they can get a hold of you.
Absolutely. So if you're listening today and you don't have that formal retirement plan, as you know, we really think there's 5 key areas: estate and legacy planning, health care, and investment strategy, income planning, and tax strategies. And we want to offer you that. So if you're listening and you don't have that in place, take advantage of this special offer. You've been listening to our shows and advice on getting your finances in order and creating a retirement income plan that will last. Now is the time to take advantage of our special offer. This is Anthony Kangemi with Crescent City Retirement Group, and we're now offering our 3-step retirement planning process at no cost and a $100 gift card to the restaurant of your choice upon completion of the planning process. Call Crescent City Retirement Group within the next 20 minutes at 504-828-2171. That number again is 504-828-2171.
And welcome back to Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Kangemi, and I'm your co-host, Tony Shore. And Anthony, I've been talking today about what an IRA can do for your retirement. And Anthony, in our first segment, you talked about the 2 main types of IRAs, which are traditional and Roth, and the differences between the two. You also mentioned how we can figure out which one will best fit our unique situation. And I know lastly, you went over taking distributions from your IRA and how critical that is to understand the rules surrounding that. And now that we've discussed the differences in IRAs and hopefully found one that will match our preferences, go over some tips on how we can manage our IRAs.
Absolutely, Tony. So in terms of managing IRAs, as we discussed, it's important that you plan your distribution ahead of time and make sure that you're aware of any tax deductions or penalties that you may incur. If you're older than 70, or here we go again, Tony, 70 and a half, make sure you plan to take your required minimum distribution, or RMD, as an Internal Revenue Service or IRS requires you to take withdrawals from your qualified accounts. It's also important to note that you may want to make sure your IRA is error-free as to avoid any surprises when you retire. Lastly, meet with your financial services professional, or FSP, for a second opinion and make sure your assets and investments are aligned with your unique situation. It's important that your IRA fits what you need, as it is a significant piece to a well-executed retirement strategy. You know, the IRAs, the pre-tax money, Tony, it's a big part of a retirement plan in most cases. But the distribution strategy and the taxes that are going to be need to be paid on the distribution, on the traditionals, and the tax rates and penalties and all these types of things all have to be considered. We just want to be as efficient as possible. That's the key. The more efficient we can be, the better the retirement plan is going to look. And so we need to make sure that we do things correctly as it relates to the distribution strategy of these accounts.
Yeah, and that's important. And these are all great points for us to be aware of. Maybe share some more information on IRAs that we may not know about that we should.
There's a lot to know about IRAs. Thanks for asking that, Tony. One common misconception is that you can't contribute to more than one IRA. The good news is you can contribute to as many IRAs as you want. However, the total deposited in all IRAs is limited to the annual maximum amount, which is either $5,500, or if you're over 50, it would be $6,500. For example, if you're 45 years old, you can only contribute $3,000 into your traditional IRA. You can only contribute $2,500 into your Roth, so a total of $5,500. Again, you'd get that $1,000 catch up if you're over 50, but in this example, 45. Another item some may not know about is that the IRA losses may be tax deductible. You can't use losses inside the IRA to offset gains, but if you distribute the total balance from your traditional IRA and the amount is less than your basis in the account, you can deduct that loss. You can also deduct IRA fees from your taxes. Having an understanding of your IRA's built-in flexibilities can help you customize your retirement savings to meet your specific retirement goals.
Now, I would imagine there are a lot of mistakes that could be made when we're managing our own IRA or have an IRA. Go over some of the mistakes you've seen people make that we should avoid.
Absolutely. There are a few common mistakes that can be made with your IRA, including messing up RMDs, required minimum distributions, contributing too much, and blowing a deadline for rollovers. Once you hit age 70 and a half, the IRS will require you to take required minimum distributions, RMDs, from your traditional IRA. And if you fail to take the RMD, the IRS will hit you with a tax penalty of 50% of the distribution. Beneficiaries of traditional IRAs who choose the stretch option are subject to the RMD rules as well and face the same 50% penalty for neglecting to take the full distribution. With a Roth IRA, no RMD is required. Another mistake that is commonly made in contributing too much to your IRAs, with contributions locked at $5,500 or $6,500, putting in more can trigger a penalty to the tune of 6% each year.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, you wouldn't think that, but you've got to be careful with how much you contribute.
Yeah.
You can't go over the maximum. Alternatively, you can carry that contribution to another year and have that count toward the tax year's contribution amount, but you have to document that with the IRS. The third most common mistake would be blowing the deadline for a 60-day rollover. This is most common when you leave your employee-sponsored IRA plan and you're looking to roll it over to another. Additionally, you can only do this rollover once every 365 days. People can lose their entire IRA because they roll over twice in a year and didn't realize it. The safest bet is to do a direct transfer from one institution to another. When everything goes correctly, the money never comes out of your retirement account because the check is written to the receiving institution, not an individual. So the direct transfer, Tony, from one custodian to the other is going to be certainly the safest bet as it relates to moving the money from one account to the other account. But these are the most common things that we see that really can get people into trouble, Tony.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think those are great examples that we need to be aware of, stuff we need to avoid. And now that we've learned more about IRAs and some mistakes people tend to make, explain why an IRA is such an important part of a well-executed retirement strategy.
Having an IRA can help you meet your retirement goals and objectives, especially if you know how to properly manage and build your IRA. To build anything, you need to have three things: a plan, a process, and the help of a financial professional. Retirement is more than kicking back and cashing in on a Social Security. Not only are there thousands of different options for each individual that affect when and how to file for Social Security benefits, there's also thousands more on how to construct other assets like IRAs. Overall, financial success is the eye of the beholder. And that is why you need a custom retirement plan that is yours and yours alone. Always be sure to check with your financial professional about what options are best for you. And I think when you look at this retirement plan holistically, and you look at all aspects of a retirement plan, from the income planning, the investment strategy, the tax planning, the tax strategy, the estate planning, the health care planning, I think it all needs to look together as one. And when you do that, Tony, really one piece can complement the other piece, and it can really enhance the plan as a whole. So I would really encourage you to take advantage of doing that. Take those pieces of the puzzle. Let's put something together. Give our office a call at 504-828-2171. Go online at crescentcityretirementgroup.com and schedule our next retirement workshop. Schedule to come. I think you'd really enjoy that.
All right, and we're going to be right back with more of Retirement Keys and our host, Anthony Congemi, after this.
You've been listening to our shows and advice on getting your finances in order and creating a retirement income plan that will last. Now is the time to take advantage of our special offer. This is Anthony Congemi of Crescent City Retirement Group, and we're now offering a complimentary gourmet dinner and retirement planning workshop, the 5 Keys to a Stress-Free Retirement. This is one workshop you won't want to miss. Call in the next 20 minutes for this no-cost offer. Seating is limited. Call Crescent City Retirement Group within the next 20 minutes at 504-828-2171. That number again is 504-828-2171.
And welcome back to our last segment for this episode of Retirement Keys with our host, Anthony Congemi, and I'm your co-host, Tony Shore. And Anthony, great conversation today about what an IRA can do for our retirement. You've talked about the difference between a traditional IRA and a Roth IRA, and how planning IRAs are a very important piece of the retirement strategy. And you said it really does play such an important role in a well-executed retirement strategy. But how do you help your clients create a lifetime income that's going to be sufficient enough for them to retire on utilizing an IRA?
It often depends on the specific situation that each client brings. When it comes to creating a lifetime income, the key is to develop an income strategy that provides flexibility. Also, making sure that it's efficient. In other words, we want to identify the most effective way possibly to fill in that income gap. And that is when I really work with my clients to address their financial wants and needs and how an IRA can help plan a part of that. I want to make sure we can find a financial solution that may help fill the income need, but still helps them cover their financial goals and objectives. So that income gap, Tony, when we talk about the Social Security planning, and then, of course, if there's a defined benefit plan or a pension, we want to look at all those structured income sources. And if there is an income gap, that IRA planning can really go a long way into filling that gap. And that's going to be important. A lot of times, too, Tony, we look at a gross number, but really it's the net number that we're interested in. So we want to know what the taxes are going to be, the federal and state taxes. We want to know what Medicare costs are going to be, health care costs. So we're trying to, really target that income, that net income number. That's really our goal in the income planning piece.
Sure. And so what you're saying here is your clients might have money set aside for retirement, and oftentimes that money needs to be turned into a monthly disbursement. We have that lump sum, but it's going to need to be turned into a monthly income, right?
Absolutely. And turning a lump sum of money into a livable retirement income can be a crucial component of retirement. It's also something that most of our clients don't have any experience with. I mean, most people don't have experience managing a lump sum of money, and typically they are faced with this dilemma of when to retire. And that's where we bring value to our clients, the retirement strategy. I'm very familiar with the number of different strategies that can help turn a lump sum of money into the correct amount of money needed to bridge that income gap in retirement. And Tony, when you really start looking at the retirement monies and the other sources of income, and you start running those numbers out, as we talked about earlier, 30, 35, even 40 years in retirement, you really have to have a well-oiled distribution strategy. and you need to use very conservative rates of return. And we run, again, those plans to age 100. So we want to know that the money is going to last. We want to know what is possible. And again, if you fill in a lot of these little leaking areas in a retirement, whether the fees are excessive or too much market risk or not having a good distribution strategy or paying too much in taxes, as I said, all of those things standing by themselves may not be as significant. But when you put it all together and you really build an efficient plan, you might be surprised at how far along you really are to being able to retire, or how well your retirement could look if you just do things efficiently.
Yeah, that's the key. Well, we're out of time for today's show. Is there anything else you want to add before we go?
Well, I just want to thank you all for tuning in this Sunday morning. I hope you enjoyed the show. We really enjoy meeting our radio audience at the seminars and workshops that we conduct. By all means, please take advantage of the offer. Let us know if you'd like to come to one of our workshops or if you'd like to get that retirement plan. It's complimentary. Take advantage of this offer.
Thank you for listening to Retirement Keys. Don't pay too much for taxes or retire without a sound income plan. For more information, please contact Anthony Congemi at Crescent City Retirement Group. Call 504-828-2171 or visit the website at crescentcityretirement.com. All matters discussed during this show are for informational purposes only. Each individual situation may vary, and the opinions expressed here may not apply to everyone. Materials presented are believed to be from reliable sources, and no representations can be made as to its accuracy. All ideas and information should be discussed in detail with one of our qualified representatives prior to implementation. Anthony Congemi and Crescent City Retirement Group are not affiliated with or endorsed by the Social Security Administration or any other government agency.